everybody, and welcome to a sketchbook tour. Today we're going to be looking through my most recently completed sketchbook, which I finished back in July. The last sketchbook tour on my channel is a flip through of my high school sketchbook, so if you're interested and you haven't seen that one, go check it out. I will be now making a playlist for sketchbook tours, and I'll be putting them in order of when I completed the sketchbook, so you can watch them all in chronological order. Because I do have a few older sketchbooks than this that I would like to tour sometime in the future. So, let's jump right into it. This sketchbook is quite thick. There is a lot of stuff in here, and I'm very excited to show you. Before anyone asks, this is just the Michaels House brand sketchbook. You can pick this up at your local Michaels. Nothing special. Alright, let's get right into it. Here is the first page. This sticky note here is just covering up my personal information. If at any point during the tour you see one of these, it's just covering up something I don't want to share with the world. So as we can see here, this sketchbook was started on February 21st, 2019 and completed July 23rd, 2021. So obviously that's not a very quick amount of time to finish a sketchbook, but considering how many pages this thing has, I think it's okay. So on the front here we just have a few stickers. This is one that I made myself, and a little note to myself when I was starting the sketchbook. Flipping over, we just have a few Bob Ross quotes here. I had a Bob Ross painting a day calendar, and they threw in occasional quotes. This was back in like 2019, so I just stuck in a few that I liked. First page of the sketchbook is a self-portrait. I always start my sketchbooks with a self-portrait, and yeah, I really like how this one turned out. This was done using my Tombow dual brush pens, and as you can see here, this was my 5th sketchbook. Here we just have some quick gestural studies done with color erase pencils. Here we have a little gouache painting of an otter. This was when I dried my tube gouaches into pans, so they would be sort of like watercolors. So this is me testing out how they worked in pans in comparison to tubes. Couple little doodles here. There's a little note here. I used to be good. What happened? There's always a point at the beginning of a sketchbook where just nothing is working out. I do think it's important to note that at this point in my life, I only drew from references. I could not draw from my imagination. As the sketchbook goes along, you see me starting to do that and getting better at that, but all of these kind of things you're seeing are referenced usually from Pinterest. Here, I guess I was documenting a Starbucks order because I have glued in Starbucks paper from some kind of loaf, I'm assuming. Here I have drawn over the Starbucks logo. I've given her makeup. Don't know why. Here's my actual order. They spelled my name wrong. Classic. Here I tried to redesign the Starbucks logo. Don't love how that turned out. And just a doodle of my dog looking out the window. Not my favorite page. Couple more doodles. This seems to be done on a Chemistry 11 worksheet. I don't know, I guess I liked it, so I stuck it in here. Here's a page from in grade 11 when I was in our school's play, which was The Pink Panther Strikes Again. This was right after we finished show week, so I was very, very depressed. So I drew a little Pink Panther, and I have stuck in one of the tickets from when my parents visited to see the show. I'm just covering up my school's information, and a couple little doodles. In case you're curious, it was The Pink Panther Strikes Again, and I played Olga. That was a fun part. Here is a ticket from when my dad and I went to see Captain Marvel in theaters, and I did a little painting of Captain Marvel. This was not an art style I'd ever tried before, but I really like how it turned out. I think it's very loose and very fun. Here is a doodle from, I believe, an English class, where I was drawing my friend who was sitting next to me, and as the class went on, I made it more and more ridiculous. Have a note here, I hate titrations. Yep. And here is honestly one of my favorite things in this sketchbook. It is a little painting of Nebula, which I did with gouache and colored pencil, and I really like how that turned out. Here is more stuff from English class. I've written out Sonnet 18, I guess that one resonated with me, I don't know, and a little figure drawing. Here is where I started the 100 Heads Challenge. If you're not familiar with that, it was a big thing on YouTube a couple years ago, I guess June 7th, I'm assuming this is 2019, is a big thing around this time. And the original challenge is to draw 10 heads a day for 10 days from a preset Pinterest board of heads. And so I decided to make my own list of heads because I found that more interesting. So I started off with a bunch of young girls, maybe late teens, kind of early 20s, because that's my comfort zone. And then I slowly added in people of different ages and genders, different angles and facial expressions. So I very much did not do 10 heads a day for 10 days because I can't do that. That's way too much drawing for me. So this was done in 2 days, and I carried it on throughout the sketchbook, just doing a head whenever I felt inclined to. So I still have not finished this challenge. My current sketchbook does still have a few heads in it, and I think I'm on like around 50 now or something, so we're getting there. This first one is honestly still my favorite out of the whole bunch, which is kind of sad, but also kind of funny. Here we have head number 7, and this is where I was going through a lot of art block. I was just not happy with anything I was producing, so hence burnout, and I did a little drawing of my car. Couple more heads for the 100 Heads Challenge, little figure drawing and a dog. I don't know, kind of random. And this is a drawing of a plant that was on our balcony. I think this is with the Artist Loft alcohol markers. This was a really fun page. This is a little collage that's supposed to be like a snapshot of what my life looked like on July 1st, 2019. So for this, I just printed out a bunch of pictures from Google Images and from Pinterest, and I tried to include everything that was going on in my life. So I guess my aesthetics were mostly pink and pastels and galaxy, very different than my aesthetics now. And I just included like all the shows that I was watching, the music I was listening to. And so obviously a lot of things here are the same. This wasn't that long ago. Like we still have Klaus here with a little heart. I love Klaus, he's my favorite. Spider-Man, of course. But there are some things here that are different. Like I don't listen to Panic at the Disco anymore. I have not read Shadowhunters in like ages. Yeah, but I think this is a really interesting little snapshot of my life, and I would like to do this again. It was a lot of fun. It's just some more doodles. This one I was doing at a party where I didn't know anyone, so of course, of course I was doodling. Little drawing of Spider-Man there. And this was just from a trip to Nanaimo, where I brought my sketchbook and did a little painting at the seawall. Moving along, we have a few more heads for the 100 Heads Challenge. I really like how these top two turned out. And here, this is why, I have a note here, this is why I don't draw without reference photos. So this is one of my first attempts of just drawing from my imagination. As you can see, I was not good at it. Why are her hands like, oh, I don't know what she's trying to do. The outfit's kind of cute, but like, yeah. So I've definitely improved at drawing without references since then. Here I bought myself a 40 set of Ohuhu markers, and I was very excited to try them out. So I have all my swatches here, and this was the first little drawing I did with them just to test out how they were working. Did this on a separate piece of paper and glued it in. And I have written down here, I get that this drawing is pretty bad, but it was really fun to experiment with my new markers, and I really enjoyed the colors in this picture, so I'm keeping it here. Here, again, using those brand new Ohuhu markers, on this side on a tan piece of paper, and then we also have a little fish here, and a random nail polish swatch, which I've stuck in for whatever reason. Here is from when my friend and I went to go see the Mayan exhibit that was at the museum. So I've stuck in our little guide and the tickets and stuff, and then I did a little drawing here of the stuff we saw at the Mayan exhibit. Yeah, that was a fun day. Here we have a few little doodles. I was trying to figure out lip anatomy and how roses worked for a piece, which we will see later in the sketchbook. Here I had gotten a set of metallic watercolors. I believe this was for my birthday, so I was just testing them out here. And again, little drawing with my Ohuhu markers. We'll come back to this in a minute. Here was my birthday for that year. I guess it was my 17th birthday. We went out for Chinese food, so I did a little drawing of our fortune cookie, and I stuck in my fortune. Follow the advice of your heart. Great fortune. and I did a little drawing of the water next to the restaurant we went to. For my birthday that year, I got a set of these PBO paints. These were kind of like unusual. I don't know how to describe them. They're not acrylics, but they're also not really oils. They're very fluid paints. Here, I'll show you. So this is what they look like. They come in all different kinds of colors and finishes. They all have slightly different textures, but they're all very fluid paints. And I got a set of maybe 12 of these little tester paints. And so here I was just testing them out, seeing what they do, seeing all the cool textures and patterns you can get with them. And going back, this is the first painting I ever did with them, which I think is kind of cool. It looks a bit like a galaxy. I like it. Here I was visiting my grandma, so I have a little drawing that I did of her, and she very kindly did a drawing of me. Thank you, Grandma. And so I guess I must have been keeping track of the card game here as well. Here is that piece I was telling you about. I had this idea in my brain, I don't know where this came from, but I decided I wanted to do it, and I really like how it turned out. I did a bunch of reference sketching beforehand, and then I did this from my imagination, so I think it worked pretty well. I really like the colors. I believe this was with gouache, and with like lots of cool texture and layering in the background of scrap newspaper. And then also, again, I've stuck in one of those PBO paint swatches over here. I really like this page. I think it's a lot of fun. Here was a little gouache galaxy. I really used to love doing these kind of galaxies. And then I used those PBO paints again to make a little moon, which I cut out and stuck in here. Little sketch of my dog, the plant that was in my room at the time, and again using my ohuhus to try to make some flowers. Here I found my old calligraphy set, and so I was testing it out, seeing how it worked. Hadn't used it in a very long time. And another head for the 100 Heads challenge. Again, just using my calligraphy set again. And this was a day where I went for a walk with my dog at the lake, so I took a couple pictures and did this little drawing with, I believe, watercolor crayons. And this is just covering up some writing about what was going on in my life at the time, and a few rants about a certain teacher that I had, so we're not gonna look at that. Big jump in time here from August to December. At this point in time, I had switched to exclusively using my high school sketchbook, so again, you can go watch that flip through if you're interested. But then I realized my teacher wasn't actually really grading any of the work I was doing in there, so it was kind of pointless, so I switched back to here. And so this is my Christmas spread. I have a bit of wrapping paper and some doodles and a little Polaroid picture I took of our Christmas tree. And as well, for Christmas this year, 2019, I got a set of the Dr. P.H. Martin's Bombay India inks, and so I was swatching them, seeing how they worked. I'd never used India inks before. I really like how they work. Here is 3 more heads for the 100 Heads challenge, and this time using some of those new inks to add some color. I really like these two. This one, not so much. Here was just a paper towel that I had been using to clean my brush while painting these. I don't know what's going on here. My brain often does these things that I can't explain. I don't know why that's there. Little drawing of my dog. And here was when I was originally planning on doing my Loki cosplay. And I wanted to kind of understand how his suit worked, what the different parts of it were, break it down so that I could redesign it to make it more feminine. So this is my original just study of what his outfit looked like. And you can see a very faint sketch here of what I originally thought my design would look like. It changed quite a bit since then. Haha, 2020, this is my year. Oh, how wrong I was. So this spread was from January 1st, 2020, and this was the year I was very hopeful for my future. It was the year I graduated high school, started university, I was gonna be doing all these cool things, and then obviously the pandemic happened. So 2020 was definitely not my year, but you know what? It's nice that I was hopeful. So here we have just some pencil crayon drawings of flowers and some quick gestural studies. Here is the first drawing of my original character. This is before I decided she was even going to be a recurring character of mine. I had just stuck in these little receipt things from my dad's calculator, and I decided to do a little doodle over top of it. I think I had seen something like this on Pinterest and I wanted to kind of recreate it in my own style. And I drew this without a reference photo, and I was so pleased with myself. I remember just being amazed, wow, I drew that without looking at a picture. And so I think the fact that it turned out so well led me to draw her again, and then maybe decide, oh, I think I'd like to keep her around. So this is before I knew who she was gonna be, but definitely still a very important picture for me. And on this side we have another one of our heads challenge and some eyeballs. Here's the first man of the 100 head challenge, head number 18. He's average. He could be better, to be honest. I do also really like how this one turned out, and a little drawing of my dog, and just some other little things that have been stuck in here. Here's the second appearance of my character. This is when I was realizing, hey, maybe this is a character I could bring to life, make my very first official OC. So this is where I just kind of started taking her design seriously, trying to figure out how I wanted her to look. This is one of my favorite things in the sketchbook, my little Klaus hands, the hello goodbye. I really like how these turned out. And another man. I really like how he turned out. I've never been very confident with drawing men, so I was very pleased with that. Here are some doodles I did in a class. I don't remember what class, this must have been in 12th grade, but yeah, these are pretty average. Let's move right on. Here I was very into aesthetics and different types of aesthetics. So I've made a couple collages going forward of different aesthetics that I was interested in. A lot of them have changed since then, but I think this is really fun to look through. We also have another man here for the 100 Heads challenge. So the first aesthetic collage I did was Dark Academia. Obviously I was obsessed with Dark Academia, I think everyone was. Then the next two were Chill Wave and Space Core, apparently. I don't know, all these pictures came from Pinterest, and I've just glued them in here and written out some defining characteristics of each of the aesthetics. So yeah, I definitely don't follow any of these aesthetics anymore. Here I have a couple little gestural drawings. Here I was trying to make a superhero. I think I was copying something off of Pinterest. I don't really remember. Another head, and a random eyeball over top of what looks like bubble wrap prints. And it just says, "School's got me down," which I definitely relate to that. Here I was trying to design a superhero costume, but it really just looks like a retro ski outfit, you know? Retro ski suit. I don't know how this happened. You know, we're just not going to talk about it. Then we have another little gesturals drawing and a parrot, which I believe was done with Posca markers. Here is just a list of everything that I liked at that point in my life. It's quite a long list. I don't know what compelled me to do this. I hadn't seen anything like this. I'm just like, you know what? I want to write down everything I like. So there's definitely a lot of weird things in here, but also I think it's really funny to look through. Spooky paintings, fairy lights, Japanese gardens, Doctor Who. Like, it's just such a random list of things. Gravity Falls, Black Bear Diner, Ant-Man. Of course Ant-Man's in there. Bob Ross. So I think it's interesting because a lot of this stuff is still would still be in my list if I made this again today, but a lot of it has changed. Olive Garden breadsticks, classic. Here was when I kind of figured out a bit more about my character. This is where I named her Allura, I guess. But I have a little note here. Why did this drawing turn out so much better than the one below it when I had no reference for this one? So this is where I was starting to get decent with drawing without references. That's what I did for both of these. Oh, and this one. Here was another one of the 100 Heads challenge, and I really do not like this drawing. I'm like, why did this turn out better than this? Which completely baffled me at the time. Anyway, so this is a bit more of developing Allura, trying to figure out what she looked like. And head number 25, which I believe was Jennifer Lawrence. Here I put out a thing on my Instagram close friends story, and I got some suggestions for what I should draw. So a friend said cursed smiley faces, so cursed smiley faces. A friend wanted me to draw her a skeleton playing the guitar, one of my close friends as a supervillain, and the clue gun, which is an inside joke from our performance group in grade 11. Here we have another aesthetic collage. This one I did the collage digitally and just printed out the one sheet. But this is for cottagecore, which is definitely an aesthetic I still really like, but it's a lot of work, so I don't follow it very much. And then I've done a little drawing of a cottage I found on Pinterest with my Tombow dual brush pens. A little drawing of Dipper, a couple more heads. This one I believe was Jeff Goldblum, classic. Here I was trying to design my LARP costume. It didn't end up looking like this, so we're gonna ignore these. They're very bad. And for some reason, I guess I decided to try to learn the Draconic alphabet. Don't know what compelled me to do that. Don't remember what these say. I guess I could take time to decipher it, but why would I do that? Here is one of my favorite paintings I've ever done of Alora. This is when I had just got the cloak for her costume and I worked it into her design. But I really like how that turned out. And we have some just nail polish swatches on the side here. Here we have another painting of Alora. This is more or less what her costume looks like today. This is basically her design. And we have a little forest here, and these again are done with those Dr. P.H. Martin's inks. Here I had gotten a bouquet of flowers from my grandparents for getting accepted into university, and so I painted them, and I have pressed and stuck in some of the leaves and petals from that bouquet. Here, I love this painting so much. This is just a quick little watercolor thing where I put down some color, just blocked it in, and then went over it with pen to kind of find the shapes in it. And I found this little sleepy dragon, and I think he's so cute. One of my favorite pages in here. And then we just have a little stained glass. And as per artist fashion, I liked something, so I tried to recreate it. Very unsuccessfully. None of these guys turned out as well as the first little sleepy dragon did. He's very cute. I do like this guy, but this is where I realized I don't understand dragon anatomy, so I gave up on that very, very quickly. Here was Easter. I had gotten a set of Tombow dual brush pens, wow, for Easter, so I was just swatching them, and I was doodling. I believe I was at my grandparents' house during this. Alora, again! She is a very constant factor in this sketchbook, which I really enjoy. And here I had swatched out all of the Tombow brush markers that I owned at the time. I think I've only added a couple more to my collection since then. I do really like this drawing of Alora. Here I was using just some cheap Crayola crayons. I believe I drew this during a class. I don't remember what class. I see here it says online school is really bad. Ugh. And then we have Wizard Kermit for whatever reason. I'm pretty sure I did this at like 2 in the morning in like an absolute haze. I don't remember doing that at all. Here I was painting some flowers I had gotten from my parents for my graduation. Time is just flying by through this sketchbook, wow. These ones I believe were done with watercolor. This was Tombow dual brush pens, and this was my Ohuhu markers. Here we have a little gouache painting. I remember I did this without reference, so again, I was very pleased with myself. She has just spooky white eyeballs, so that's cool. And here it just says, I'm out of practice. Thanks, school. Yes. Summer 2020, I had just gotten Breath of the Wild, and it was all that I did that summer. Breath of the Wild and Animal Crossing consumed my entire summer that year. So here are some Koraks. Yahaha! Oh no. Here's a little doodle I did on a trip up to Transfer Beach. I believe this was the last day of summer, right before school started, so I wanted to go out, make something cool. Here we have a little blind contour drawing of myself, and a non-blind drawing of myself. I have a video about this page on my YouTube channel if you want to go check it out. Here are some doodles that I did in a class. I'm guessing this was during one of like my art theory lectures, because online art theory lectures, let me tell you, they are not fun. It's really impossible to stay awake during them, so I did some little doodles to keep my mind occupied. I like how this drawing turned out. And here is the beginning of me being super depressed that school was online because I couldn't play D&D. And that was my whole goal of first thing I wanted to do when I started university was join a D&D campaign. So I was very depressed during this time that I couldn't play. So I have a lot of drawing of a lot of drawings of like tieflings and such, elves. So yeah, you'll see that as we go forward. Here is head number 28. I don't believe the original Had a Witch hat, I just, classic Ray, had to add that in. And here are just some dried petals that I've stuck in. I believe this is also from that grad bouquet I got from my parents. It is October. I am bored. I have work I should be doing. Yep, sure. I don't know what's going on here. But here we have Alora again. This is what she looks like today. This is her final design. If you want to see pictures of me cosplaying her, you can check out my Instagram. This is basically what her costume looks like. This was actually quite a while before I started that cosplay, but I like that it matched up very well. Here I was working for my sculpture class on making fantastical studio spaces. I have a video on my channel of all the art I made in my first semester of university last year, so this is included in that if you want to go check that video out. I won't talk too much about that. Same for this spread. This was just thumbnailing for that sculpture class. And this spread was also in that video, so go check out that video if you want to learn more about this. This was done during an online Zoom Christmas party, and this was a piece for one of my art classes. Here was the end of my first semester at university, and I had just finished my painting class, my acrylic painting class, so I peeled up all my palettes I'd been using, and I stuck all of it in, all the excess paint from that class. And I covered it in plastic because these pages kept getting stuck together, and it was really annoying. Here was, I believe, Christmas break in between first and second semester last year. I was very, very depressed during this time, so I like to go and sketch at this little viewpoint near my house, and it brought me a lot of joy and a lot of comfort, so yeah. Here we have a little drawing of Frida, who is my favorite villager on my island in Animal Crossing. I remember when I started my island back in summer 2020, she was my starter villager, and I remember being so upset. I'm like, oh, of course I get stuck with the ugly hamburger sheep, just my luck. But now I have come to love her. She is so kind, and I'm never getting rid of her. I'm never letting her leave. And I have a drawing of what I would look like if I were to cosplay Frida, which I don't think that'll be happening anytime soon, but I thought it would be fun to draw. And this was just done for one of my second semester courses last year, which was an observational drawing class. This is just a layout of my bedroom. I was making a 3D model of it for one of my modeling classes, so nothing to see there. Alora, again! I told you she's going to be showing up quite a bit. And this was the first time I ever actually wrote out her whole backstory, her origin. I had it all planned out for months and months, but I wanted to finally have it somewhere stored, safe away, in case I forgot anything. I think this is the last of the aesthetic collages in the sketchbook. This is definitely closer to my current aesthetic. I absolutely adore this kind of shadowy, silhouette, black and white kind of spookiness. So I don't know if there's an actual name for this aesthetic. Maybe dark royal core would apply. I don't know. But I did some little drawings from other Pinterest pictures. And I have a little note here. Bad art is better than no art, which is something I definitely did not embody back then. This is the start of a long section of drawings that was for a observational drawing class I did second semester last year. This is a cast of someone's face we had to draw. This is just a note from my university saying thanks for participating in a little video they made. Here is a little plant, so more plants. This is for our botanical section of that class. More plants. Here we got to use a scanning electron microscope, and we had to draw what we saw there. Here our teacher had brought in his baby chicks, and we had to draw them. It is very hard to draw baby chicks while they're moving around, let me tell you that now. Here we had to do a bit of research into Japanese wood joinery. What that had to do with observational drawing, I don't really know, but we had to do a thumbnail page of just kind of understanding different kinds of joinery. I chose the half-blind dovetail, okay. And then we had to actually carve vegetables with this kind of joinery and then paint them. So I did actually make this zucchini potato monstrosity, and this is my painting I did of it. I think that's everything for that class. Here again, lack of D&D depression kicking in, some more tieflings, realizing I don't know how to draw tiefling horns. Little note here, I'm so cool and very productive. Yeah, right. And then just writing about how school was just absolutely insane at that point, and how I was very fed up with everything being online. Another tiefling. Help! I don't know how to draw tieflings. Help! I don't know how to draw. Classic. And a little doodle of a plant I saw when I was out for a hike. This was actually a cyanotype I did in my photography class last year. I have this separate plastic thing so it folds out. It was kind of a failed cyanotype, so I decided to make it into more of a painting slash drawing and stick it in my sketchbook. But I think it's pretty cool. I'm happy with it. Here are a couple paintings of my dog Chester as he was doing a painting. If you want to see a video about this, again, it's on my channel. You can go check it out. And here we're at the last page. How sad. This is when I first moved into my new studio, which I'm currently filming from. This was the first day I moved in, and I sat by my window as the sun set and I painted the view outside my window. And that's kind of it. This whole page is stuff from my summer job, so I have signed way too many contracts to show you anything from that page. Yeah, and here we just have a couple doodles I did while I was at work over the summer, whenever we had no customers and I was bored. I don't work there anymore, just to clarify. And this is a little thing from when I cleaned one of our large format printers. I liked how the little swatch thing looked, so I kept it and stuck it in my sketchbook. And the very last page of my sketchbook I always leave as a test page to swatch whatever kind of materials, so here they all are. And this is the sticker for my new sketchbook, which I recently started. And to finish it off, a few more Bob Ross quotes. And that is all. We're at the last page. This is just all the stickers that I accumulated during my time using this sketchbook. So yeah, that is everything, folks. I hope you enjoyed my little flip through. Again, if you want to go watch my high school sketchbook tour, that's on my channel. If you enjoyed, please feel free to like and subscribe. Wow, am I a real YouTuber now? But seriously, subscribing does help me out a lot, so, you know, if you don't want to miss when I upload in the future, just hit the button. It takes 2 seconds. It's free. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!